Hi, I'm Louisa, and today we're going to go through some side-lying essentials for your Pilates Foundations. So prop-wise, grab some cushions, maybe a cushion might be useful between the knees, or if you have an overball, one of these, that would be handy as well, but no problem if not. So to begin with, we're going to lie onto one side. I've got quite a few cushions here. I've got my thicker cushion and two little cushions. So it depends on what is comfortable for you to support your head and your neck. So I'm going to come onto one side. I'm going to try and stack up shoulder over shoulder and make sure I've got enough cushions here that I'm not squashing the underneath shoulder or my neck. So once I've got the upper body organised, find length through the neck and have some cushions behind you. And you could then just start to stack up the arms and the hands. We'll then travel down the body to find neutral inside line. So the ribs aren't flaring and arching, they're just softening. And you've got hip stacked over hip. The legs almost at a right angle, so the shins may be close towards the front edge of your mat. At this point, we're trying not to tilt the pelvis forward or arch it back, as if we've just flipped onto your side from your relaxation position that we covered in the previous video. So you can grab a ball or something just to prop between your knees, a small cushion or a rolled up towel would be great. This just helps keep your pelvis and lower back nice and steady. So once you're ready to begin, the arms and hands will be roughly stacked up. It may be the top hand is a little further forward or a little further back. Try to set up the shoulders, find length through the neck and space between your ear and your shoulder, so we're not scrunched up, ready for a nap. So we're going to do arm openings, which is all about rotation of our thoracic spine, our upper back. So to begin, we'll start to inhale as you open your arm, let your head turn to look at your hand. At this point, just see if you can maybe soften that shoulder, so we don't want it to scrunch up towards the ear. As you exhale, we're trying to move from the ribs to turn back. Take a breath when you get there. And as you breathe out, ribs bring you back and arm comes to close. So you inhale, begin to open, softening the shoulder, turning your head to look at your hand. So the angle that you've got now is maintained as you let the ribs turn, trying to keep the waist long and the hips stacked. Take a breath when you get there. And then we're gliding it back from there. So you can do between 5 to 8 of these. Be careful that the arm doesn't drag you back, you're not forcing your arm back. You're just trying to find ease as you unravel the upper spine and head and neck. Almost as if you're maybe painting a rainbow as you open the arm out. So you keep looking at your hand, hips stacked without arching back. And just finding ease for the upper body. We'll do just a couple more here on this side. So inhale to open, soften shoulder, and then exhale as you rotate back. Breath, and then we're gliding back again. So when you finish these, it might feel really nice when you come back again to start with the hands stacked. I'm going to just inhale, reach and roll the upper body and my top arm forward. You may feel a stretch under that top shoulder blade. And then exhale, just rock back to where you began. We'll perhaps do this between 3 to 5 times. So your whole upper body is just kind of rolling forward, counter to the movement that we've just done. And you may wish to shake out that top arm or shoulder, see how you go. So we'll stay on the same side to do some side leg work. Depending on any issues with shoulders or neck, you might prefer to keep the arrangement that you've got for the neck and the head support. If you can, we'll try to extend the underneath arm away and then place a cushion or two between your arm and your head to support your neck. So I've got my palm up, and so if you can, that would be preferable. It might be you need the arm a little further forward and then perhaps pad out underneath the cushion so you're not your head isn't rolling off the edge of your arm. So we're still trying to be stacked shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip. I'm going to just remove that ball for now. So the first side lying exercise we'll work on is Oyster. So So I'm keeping the same angle of the leg I had for my arm openings, but just nudging that shape back so my feet are roughly in line with my bottom. I've got hip still over hip, some sense of length and lift through the underneath side of the waist. You might prefer to keep the hand lightly in front of you, so not that we're pushing into it or scrunching up the shoulder. You can always place a cushion there if that helps you keep the shoulders set, or you might prefer to have your hand on your hip just for feedback that you're able to keep the pelvis steady. So from here, we take your breath in to prepare. As you breathe out and connect to your centre, you're going to open that top leg without letting the pelvis roll back. So I'm opening from the hip, and you can inhale to lower it down. So we're trying to keep that same distance rib to hip. So you exhale to open, keeping that centre engaged, inhale to lower. So you're searching for length. You can again do between 5 to 8 of these. Great. So keep that sense of space under the waist. You're keeping all that lift and support of your centre, softening shoulder, lengthening out through the neck. If it's hard to keep the pelvis steady, maybe you could stack yourself up so you've got maybe the edge of the sofa or something behind you just to give you that feedback. We're trying to work the outer side of the glute muscles that helps to stabilise our pelvis. If it's hard to get into that, you can sometimes think of consciously contracting that area or maybe slightly pushing the feet in towards each other as you open. So when you finish those, you might want to give your bottom a little rub. And then we're going to nudge the legs a little further forward, just to where they were for your arm openings a moment ago. And we'll do one more side leg exercise, which is our side leg lift and lower. So still keeping all our joints stacked, that support through our centre. You can have the hand in front or hand on hip as you prefer. And let's try and lengthen that top leg away in line with your hip. If it's too much to do this with a straight leg, you could keep the leg bent, but you'll still be lifting from the hip. So I'm going to lengthen that leg away. To start with, let's flex the foot, so draw the toes forward. Your hip, knee and ankle are aligned and that waist will stay long. So we'll exhale to lift and then inhale to lower just to hip height. Watch the tension creeping in elsewhere. Exhale to lift, inhale to lower. We're going to do about 4 of these. And keep that control, keep searching for length. And either you stay with keeping the foot flexed, or for your next set of 4, you could inhale to lift up with a soft point of the foot and exhale to flex, excuse me, as you lower just to hip height. So up with a point and down with a flex. And when you finish, you can just soften, stacking the legs one on top of the other and have a little rub. And then we'll change over to do the same on the other side. So getting yourself set, bringing any props that you need with you. So second side for our arm openings. Stacking yourself up, shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip. Perhaps a prop between the knees. The legs are in this almost a chair shape, almost a right angle, so the shins may be parallel towards the front edge of your mat. We've got plenty of cushions behind your head to support your head as you start to turn the neck and the head. We're trying not to squash that underneath shoulder. So we're finding that length through the spine, that lift through your centre, soft shoulders, ease around the upper body, and we'll begin to unravel our thoracic spine. So for our arm openings, we'll inhale as you open that arm, looking towards your hand, softening the shoulder, and then exhale as you begin to rotate back from the ribs, breath to stay, and then we're gliding back again. We inhale to open, look at your hand, soften your shoulder, and then exhale to rotate back, breath to stay, and we're gliding back again. So inhale to open, soften the shoulder. This angle will stay the same as you move from the ribs as you exhale. Breath to stay, and we're gliding back again. You can do between 5 to 8 of these. Keep that length through the waist. We're trying not to lean or flare the ribs to head further back. And we're not forcing the arm back. We're not dragging our spine back with the arm. We stay moving almost as one unit with that top half. Inhale to open. Exhale to rotate back. And when you've done an even number on this side, you can stack back up again, hand over hand, soften shoulders, lengthen waist, and just between 3 to 5, inhale, reach and roll your upper body, that top arm forward. You might feel a stretch under the shoulder blades, and then exhale, we bring it back again. So we inhale to reach and roll forwards, exhale to bring it back again. So you're just kind of moving counter to our previous arm openings exercise. And when you've done a few of those, you may well want to do a few gentle circles of the shoulder here as well, just bringing the hand to the front of the shoulder or the collarbone. And then from here, we'll come on to your side leg work. So as before, if the cushion arrangement suits you better to stay with arm openings, please do. Otherwise, you could lengthen that underneath arm out, ideally palm up if you can, and then use your cushion or cushions just underneath your head between your arm, so you're not squashing your neck in this shape. So we're still going to try and keep shoulder over shoulder, hip over hip, keep that length and lift through the waist, but we're just taking the legs back. They're the same angle, so the feet are roughly in line with your hips. You can bring hand over hip or hand lightly in front of you. Try not to tense through the shoulder as you go. And for Oyster, as you breathe out and centre, you're opening that top leg without the pelvis rolling back, and then inhale to lower. So exhale as you centre and open, inhale to lower. So we're trying to work that outer side of the glute muscle. I'm going to do that 4. And then the second set of 4 other things to maybe think about, that if you don't maybe feel some activity in this area, perhaps think of consciously contracting as you open without forcing back from your spine or flaring the ribs. And or maybe you could lightly press the feet together as you open. We can work between 5 to 8 here as well. So try and keep that same distance, rib to hip, that lift through the tummy, softening the shoulder. And when you've finished your 8, up to 8, a little rub of that area. And then we nudge the legs forward again, so where they were for your arm openings, and we'll work on our side leg lift and lower. So you can lengthen that top leg away in line with your hip. If it's too much with the straight leg, you could bend that leg in again. Otherwise, we'll keep hip, knee and ankle aligned. Try to keep that sense of lift through the front of your centre as well as the underneath side of the waist. Again, hand on hip or hand in front of you. We'll flex the foot to begin with for our first 4, so draw the toes towards you. So exhale as you lift, inhale you lower to hip height. So exhale to lift, inhale you lower just to hip height. So 4 of those. Keep that same distance rib to hip, you're not shortening there to lift up. And either you keep the foot flexed for your second set of 4, or you could softly point the foot, so toes away, and you could inhale, lift up with the soft point of the foot. Exhale, flex as you lower to hip height. So inhale as you lift, exhale, flex as you lower to hip height. Inhale, lift, exhale, flex as you lower. Last one, and then you can soften the legs, give them a little bit of a rub. And then after that side leg work, you might appreciate a little stretch. So you could come onto your back. I've got a small head cushion underneath my head. We'll just check we're back in neutral pelvis, hips level, the belly button and the pubic bone. And heaviness through the ribs, soft shoulders and ease around the neck. So you can bring one leg into a knee fold, and then from the hip we're turning out. So your heel might get close towards the top of your other thigh without putting any undue pressure onto the knee. So at this point I'm still neutral, waist is still long, and you might begin to feel a stretch in that area that we've just worked, and that might be enough to stay here for a few breaths. If you feel you want to deepen that sensation of stretch, Engage through your centre, and you can draw the other leg towards you, possibly wrapping your hands around the thigh. So my right leg is in turn out and I'm wrapping my hands around my left thigh and slightly pressing my right arm into my right thigh. I'm trying to keep that length through the tailbone. So just take in a few breaths here. You might want to gently rock side to side. You might want to just stay as you are. And a gentle sense of flexing through both feet would give your knees just a little bit more support in this shape. So you could stay here for between 3 to 5 breaths. When you're ready, you lower that shape with control and we'll untangle. Check your back in neutral again before we change sides. So that second side, you come up into knee fold. For me, that's my left leg. I'm going to turn out from the hip and I'm placing the foot close to the top of the other thigh without pressing on the knee. I'm not twisting in the other knee to get there. Hips are square, waist is long. This could be enough to stay here. Otherwise, engage through your centre and you draw the other leg up. So my left leg is in turn out and I'm hugging my right leg in towards me, wrapping my hands around the thigh. With the option, left forearm could press out against the left thigh to increase that sensation. Take a few breaths. Try and keep that length through the waist, through the tailbone. Either stay as you are or gently rock side to side a few times. You could stay in the shape for between 3 to 5 breaths. And whenever you're ready, you can lower that shape, gently untangle. You might want to give yourself a hug under or over the knees with or without any rocking. You may wish to lower that with control. You slide the legs away, give them a little bit of a shake out. And then you can slowly roll onto your side and come up to a comfortable seat. So thanks very much for joining me.